The following program is intended for mature audiences.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
So, where do we want to start?
Marvin Lewis finally looks like he's leaving the Bengals, but of course he wasn't fired.
Was it just relieved of his duties?
No, he did a press conference where he said that both he and Mike Brown had come to a mutual agreement that it was time to part ways.
I'll believe that when Hugh Jackson's on the sideline next year. Until then, all bets are off.
Marvin Lewis gave him his endorsement.
Yeah. God help you, Bengals fans, if it happens.
I mean, at this point, it's like what I said, like, just hire Hugh Jackson and Mike Brown. You know you want to. I
think it would be great if the Bengals hired Hugh Jackson. It would be hilarious to me. But, wow, Bengals fans, I mean, like our buddy McCarthy, and he's really got nothing to root for to begin with. And then his team goes out and hires Hugh Jackson. I think I'd have to quit at that point.
Like you said to me once, Zach, like there are 31 other NFL teams. Why do I torture myself with the Chargers? I mean, it could be worse.
You could be the Bengals.
I could be a Bengals fan.
Yeah.
Which is something that McCarthy once said. Like, I remember he was talking about going to a Bengals game, and he ran into some Bengals fans from the UK.
Wow.
And he's like, it baffled me. Like, if you're not from here, why would you choose this life?
Yeah, I get it. I'm in the unusual position of the Browns aren't the team we're making fun of anymore.
If the Browns hire Josh McDaniels, that could be bad.
Don't you think, though, that they should just and I get all the reasons why you wouldn't want to give this staff a chance, but look what they did. They took that completely dysfunctional mess and turned it into a pretty good football team in a really short amount of time.
But I think we've seen plenty of times that the interim coach syndrome, you don't necessarily want to fall prey to that.
Right.
Because it could just be that the players are relieved that they're liberated from that.
Right.
That doesn't mean that they want to have Greg Williams as their guy going forward.
I'm not really concerned about losing Williams. I don't want to lose Freddie Kitchens. That's my biggest concern. If they manage to keep him, I don't care what they do after that, because that guy did some sort of voodoo magic and took that god-awful offense and made it exciting and dangerous and fun. So don't lose him. But then again, it might be the same thing where it was this Hugh Jackson was so unimaginative that the next guy was going to seem like a genius no matter what he did. So who knows? The coaching thing is going to go on for a while. I don't know who's going to go where or what.
Some of these you make sense with. But one of those guys that was just hired last year was Steve Wilkes with the Cardinals. And I think it was pretty evident right away this season that was a bad choice. He made questionable, challenging calls all season and just bad decisions in many ways. You know, I follow the Cardinals a little too much because my family has season tickets to them. And so it's just I saw firsthand what kind of coach this guy is, and it was pretty clear that he was not right from the get-go.
Mike, you're a Cardinals fan too. Gun to your head, before Zach just brought his name up, if you've named their head coach?
No.
When you said Steve Wilkes, I'm like, who's he talking about? I had no idea. I didn't even know the guy's name.
Honestly, I didn't either until I'm looking at it on a page right now.
I'm actually half convinced they didn't have a head coach and they just made up a name and a LinkedIn profile to, tell the story that they did. If you go into if you go to Cardinals training camp, whatever, it's like Coach Wilkes, yeah, and everyone's like, oh, I haven't met him yet, but
I've heard he's a great guy.
Great.
Yeah,
everyone else hasn't met him yet, but nobody's put it all together.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that Bruce Arians wasn't there. I'd remember when he'd be doing a game on CBS. I go, well, that's right. There's some other guy coaching the Cardinals. I have no idea who it is. That's bad, though. I mean, when you're an NFL coach and no one even knows who you are, that can't be a good sign for your team, I'm thinking. I mean, either you're going to be so bad, like Hugh Jackson, and everybody knows you, or you're pretty good and everybody knows you. This guy was just completely anonymous and possibly made up. We're not sure.
These are the teams without coaches currently. We have the Browns, The Jets, as I mentioned, they fired Todd Bowles after 4 seasons. Who
probably had it coming.
Yeah, his demeanor, from what I can tell, is even a step below the Tony Dungy's and Jim Caldwell's of the world. He's a fine coach, I'm sure, but just that low-level demeanor is fine. We're going to be okay.
The imaginary coach of the Cardinals has more personality.
Sure. I don't doubt it. Vance Joseph with the Broncos is fired, probably rightfully so, although I wouldn't point the finger necessarily at him.
John Elway is the real culprit in all of this, honestly. The dude doesn't know what he's doing. I don't think we've ever seen like a Super Bowl championship team fall off quite like the Broncos have. Now, one team that doesn't have coaching issues, the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, that's probably the one team that really should have coaching
They
issues.
probably really should, but I mean, they fucking did it, guys. They signed Peterman.
To the practice squad.
Hey,
to the practice
squad. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Credit, he didn't actually suit up in a game. But they made another great move this week. Apparently, if you're on TV, you're on the Oakland Raiders radar. Much in the same way that Donald Trump gets all of his thoughts from Fox News, right? Because that's just what's on all the time.
Like, you're basically just telling me that John Gruden's watching SportsCenter being like, hey.
No, it's Mark Davis is clearly just watching the NFL Network and football games all day because he's like, hey, I got to hire that John Gruden back. Hey, I have to hire Mike Mayock as our general manager.
Mike Mayock?
He's the new general manager of the Oakland Raiders. Yeah.
Wow.
The NFL Network draft guru is at the helm.
That you know what? Good for him. Good for him. You know.
Sure. If you get offered the job.
Good for him.
Yeah, he parlayed that gig into a job with the NFL, but I'd have to. I mean, I don't know. Does he have a pretty good record with his predictions and stuff at the draft? Because that's what you kind of have to base it on, right?
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys that is just. His analysis is very good. I don't know about where he picks, but he does, watch more film than anybody else supposedly, and has all the connections and all that, and see how that plays out into that. But I don't know. It's one of those things where like he's a very good analyst. Put him at the GM chair is a different thing when you have to negotiate contracts,
right,
and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy for us to sit here and go, hey, we'd like to have this guy because we don't have to worry about paying him. We don't have to worry about structuring a contract, no salary cap, nothing.
I mean, any of us could have a decent to good fantasy football season picking guys. It doesn't mean that we should be running an NFL team.
No, especially me. I don't want to delve too far into the fantasy football thing, but I have to say this publicly. I was in the championship game in my league, and genius that I am, I said, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to play this weekend, so I'm going to pick up Phillip Rivers because, well, shit, somebody was stupid enough to drop the guy. There he is. Well, long story short, Rivers got me exactly 0.7 points in that loss against the Ravens that Saturday night. The next day, Aaron Rodgers puts 47 fantasy points on the board, which would have been an easy win, and I would have won the title. And I'm bothered by that more than I should be. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Well, Greg, some news for you. No one cares.
Yes, I know. It bothers me that I care about it. I do.
What's the quote? Nobody cares as much about your fantasy team as you, and nobody cares. No one cares at all. No one else cares at all. Yeah.
No, but I just had to point that mostly not because it's my fantasy football team, but just to show you how bad I am at things most of the time, and that's just another good example. Anyway. Yeah, the Raiders are just a disaster now. I mean, maybe Mike Mayock's the next whoever the great personnel guy is now. I don't know, but it's just a weird move.
Yeah. Let's see. Dolphins, as we mentioned, fired Adam Gase. Their guys that they're looking at right now are Bears defensive coordinator Vic Fangio and Brian Flores from New England, and surprisingly, Rex Ryan.
Wow.
Oh, yes. Hire Rex Ryan. Let him coach like Dolphins games wearing like a Hawaiian shirt.
I mean, he's just punched another hole on his AFC East bingo card.
Is there anybody more ill-suited to wear Miami's team colors on the sideline than Rex Ryan?
That's why it would be glorious.
It would be.
He's slimmed down a lot compared to where he used to be.
Okay.
But I don't know what the Dolphins are.
That's the thing.
7-9 again, right?
Right. With Adam Gase, it's like, is he a bad coach, or is he taking a bad team and gotten way more out of it than anybody else would have? We'll never know.
I don't think the Dolphins. I mean, really, what do the Dolphins have?
I don't know.
Is Ryan Tannehill really that good?
No.
He's a 7-9 at best quarterback.
And I couldn't name a single wide receiver on that team.
Nope.
I mean, they had Jarvis Landry, but he's with the Browns now, so that's the only guy I knew, and he's not there. I don't know who their running back is. So you got to wonder, I mean, was it really Gase's fault? Or maybe you might want to look upstairs and go, okay, we need better personnel, which I think every team can say that. But, the guy, like I said, two sides of the coin. I mean, you can look at it and go, he got a lot more out of that team than anybody else would have. And I guess we'll find out if he gets a job with the Jets or someone else. We'll see what he's really made of. I do want to, though, while we're talking about the NFL, and we can get into what happened over the weekend, every season, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like there's always that one team. All you got to do is win a home game against a team that has nothing to play for, and you're in the playoffs. And inevitably, that team loses. This year's edition, the Minnesota Vikings.
Kirk Cousins getting that guaranteed money.
It amazes me every year. It's like, how can you do that?
This is the right outcome, though, for Minnesota.
Yeah, it's not like they deserve it, but it just amazes me that there's always that one team that just can't get it done, which I guess proves why they shouldn't be in the playoffs in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't really nothing terribly surprising happened to me, over the weekend.
We got a lot of what did I read? Like, well, it can't be. Yeah, so I think 7 teams that made the playoffs last year didn't make it this year. Again, like the Steelers, Panthers.
The Steelers didn't make it. That is glorious.
I mean, they did it to themselves. You know, ultimately the Steelers weren't good, and the fact that people were. I mean, we talked about it at one point where Colin Cowherd said that they were his best team in the league or something like that, or second best team at the very least. I forget what it was, but it was just the fact that people kept pumping up this team throughout the year shows that they were just going on name brand,
right?
You know, that they're the Pittsburgh Steelers and they have Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown, and
they were never that good.
No, this is a team that, I mean, we joke about it, and I mean, you watch the same videos, Mike. Days of Our Steelers is very appropriate because
Days of Our Steelers.
Whether it was the oh my god, I can't even remember his name now.
Le'Veon Bell.
Le'Veon Bell.
Saga in Miami, and they raided his locker after he wasn't coming back.
And then now, you know, what was happening to them during the season in terms of wins and losses. And now to cap it all off, this Antonio Brown stuff that's coming out at the end of the year.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
He was out in the regular season finale for the Steelers, and he was listed on the injury report as having a knee injury. Turns out that wasn't the case at all, that he had been missing team meetings. He had a fight with Ben Roethlisberger, and so he was just scratched. It wasn't an injury like they put it on the report as. Just he wasn't going to be there.
All I'm saying,
reportedly requested a trade out of Pittsburgh.
Wow.
All I'm saying is that the next Days of Our Steelers is going to be gold.
Yeah, they'd have to be like, if you were going to rate the most disappointing team this year, they'd have to be one of them, right? That based on last year's performance, you'd go, wow, they really.
I'd say between them and Minnesota, yeah.
Minnesota. Who else really kind of fell way short? Atlanta a little bit, but I don't think anybody was really surprised by Atlanta.
Atlanta was really – I wasn't expecting Atlanta to be a dominant force, but I thought they'd be better. Honestly, Atlanta and Carolina, like I thought the AFC – I thought the NFC South was going to be really tight.
Yeah,
especially with the way the Panthers started, the way that they just fumbled down the stretch was pretty bad.
What did they do? Lose like 8 of their last 9 or something like that?
Yeah. Despite them making the playoffs, they made it by the skin of their teeth. But the Eagles are one of those teams that you put up as a disappointment.
I fucking hate this. Fuck Nick Foles and this voodoo bullshit that he pulls. Nick Foles is starting to reach like Russell Wilson levels of annoyance, where it's like he's clearly not this good, and yet he just somehow makes it happen.
I think the difference between him and Russell Wilson is I think Nick Foles is genuinely as surprised as everybody else.
Yeah, that is fair. Like he it's not like he's going around being like, I am God's message to all of you.
No, it's just like, yeah, this is great.
I don't know.
You know what he is, though? He's Ryan Fitzpatrick again. He's like a guy that, if you need him for a couple of games, he'll be okay, but you can't bank on him for the whole season.
It's going to be interesting because they play the Bears in the first round. Like,
yeah.
Khalil Mack, jeez.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too confident if I were a fan of the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles.
How about those Indianapolis Colts?
I'm telling you, man. They're my boys now. That's my bandwagon team for the playoffs.
They were 0-4, right?
1-5 they started the season.
1-5.
1-5.
And they finished up 10-6.
Yep.
That's incredible.
On top of that, the Texans retake their rightful spot hosting the early Saturday wildcard playoff game.
Yes.
It's not the same as if they were playing the Bengals. I mean, that would have really been special, I think we need to see that for the 15th time to really figure out who the better team is.
Right. Okay, so we're going to do a little NFL playoffs here, huh?
Yeah, the National Football League.
Bum, bum, bum,
Da, 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 da.
So let's start in the less interesting AFC, just because. Your number 1 seed is the Kansas City Chiefs. The number 2 seed, the New England Patriots. They both get the byes. Your wild card games this upcoming weekend, you have the number 3 seed AFC South champion Houston Texans hosting the, as we said, the early Saturday game.
They should just call that the Houston Texans Bowl or something. Give it a name.
With the number 6 seed Indianapolis Colts. That's Saturday, 4:35 Eastern on ESPN/ABC. And Sunday afternoon at 1:05 Eastern, you'll have the AFC North champion Baltimore Ravens hosting the number 5 seed Los Angeles Chargers of Carson via Costa Mesa.
Yeah.
I still think the Patriots will have a home game in the AFC title game because the Chiefs will go full Andy Reid on whoever they end up playing.
Who do they get? The winner of which game?
The Chiefs would get either the Colts, Chargers, or Ravens.
Ooh. Well, the Ravens almost beat them, right?
Yeah, went to overtime. In Kansas City.
The Chargers did beat them in Kansas City.
Yeah.
On a 2-point conversion at the end, yep.
And I think the Colts are capable of beating them in Kansas City.
I don't know so much about that one.
I don't know. I think the Colts team is pretty good. I like them. I've been touting them for a few weeks now. Okay, anyway, so which game are we going to go with first?
Let's talk about this Indy-Houston game, as it is the afternoon special on Saturday.
Right, the Houston Texans Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Brought to you by Saturday Afternoon. I don't know.
So I think they split the regular season games this year between the two of them.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that tells you about anything. Obviously, Houston was on the upswing for a while. They kind of leveled out their last 2 weeks, and the Colts are hot, hot, hot. I want to go with the Colts just because they're on that hot streak, and and all that. And Houston just they lack that kind of it that you need.
Yeah.
In a game like this, but they somehow won 11 games. So what do I know?
Yeah.
I think Houston's just by far the better team. This Indy team doesn't really, I don't know. They're hot at the moment, but I just don't think they're a better team than Houston. I think Houston wins.
I got to agree with Mike. I think what you got here is you got two teams that went on really nice hot streaks. And I think the Colts are a lot of fun. I think they're a talented team that's on the way up. But, you put this game in Indy, to me it's the home team is who I'm going to pick in this game. And I'm probably going to have to go with the Texans. Plus, the Texans have the Saturday afternoon advantage in this one. Like, they always play on Saturday afternoons. Maybe the Colts aren't used to that. But I'd love to see the Colts win, but if I'm making a pick, I got to go with the Texans, I think.
So here, to give you a little something against what you just said, by the way.
Okay.
When the teams played this season, the Colts won the game in Houston.
Right, I just saw that.
And Houston won the game in Indy. And both of those games were 3-point contests.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
Okay, here's a good question.
These teams are as tight as you can find.
Who do you trust more in a big game? Deshaun Watson or Andrew Luck?
Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I think I'd have to go with that too. Maybe I'm going to change my pick here.
And here's the thing one of the things that's helped the Colts on this run is that offensive line play that they desperately lacked for so many years when I was a fan. And you're going up against J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney and all that stuff. And I think that's where the matchup is. And I think the Colts defense has stepped up in recent weeks to make this something that's going to be a little bit more interesting. I'm
officially switching my pick. I'm with you, Zach. I think that our Indianapolis Colts will win this game. It'll be another close one. I hope it's got the potential to be a really entertaining game, and I hope it is. But I'm going to go with the Colts too because Andrew Luck, better offensive line play, and Deshaun Watson. When he's on, he's really good, but when he is off, like if Luck is off, he's not as bad as Watson is when he's off. If that makes sense. Yeah. Like one of them goes way off the rails further than the other one does. So I'm going to go with the Colts. I think my Colts will do the job here. I hope.
Yeah, I'm on the Colts train. Then Sunday you get the Chargers at the Ravens. Obviously the Ravens beat the Chargers in Los
Angeles,
in Carson, 22-10.
Yeah, and the Chargers did not look good. I don't know if you guys watched that game at all, but the Ravens just had their number on defense. Never. Yeah. The Chargers couldn't get anything going at all.
It's funny, as I'm looking at these head-to-head matchups, the last time the two played against each other before 2 weeks ago was in 2015. So they haven't played in 3 years, and now they're going to play twice in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Just funny how that shakes down. Yeah, that was a 22-10 win for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson has obviously come on very strong, since he's been in. The Ravens are the number 2 rushing team in the league. They have the number 1 defense in the league based on, points and stuff. But other side, Phillip Rivers has been finding a way to just get things done this season. They did falter a little bit there at the end of the year, but I think based on what I saw, way back when they played the Rams, based on what I saw when they played the Chiefs, and when I have checked in on Charger games this season because they're obviously on TV here every week, I like that offense. I really do. And I think that this is a situation where this might be when Lamar Jackson finally gets his, hey kid, welcome to the NFL. It's not always as easy as it's made out to be.
Well, this will be the first time he's played a team the second time since he took over as a starter, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. That's the key to the game for me is the Chargers' ability to stop Lamar L. Jackson. And if they can do that, then they should be okay. So, because I think if you look at it talent for talent on offense, the Chargers are way more talented on offense than the Ravens are.
Yeah.
Defensively, I think the Chargers' defense is pretty good, but the Ravens' defense has really stepped it up over the past month and a half. So you got to look at that too. I like the fact that the Chargers are on the road, and I think that actually is a benefit for them. So I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Chargers of Costa Mesa via Carson, or whatever I forget the order of the cities, but you know who I mean.
I got to go with my guys.
Yeah, contractually obligated.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, come on. This is a great This has been a great season for the Chargers. I'm kind of riding a high on this one. I can't abandon them now that they're at the show. Go Chargers. They're going to win by like 80 points.
But for real though, I think that offense is what's going to carry them in this game because they're balanced. They're very balanced. Whereas I think with the Ravens, as long as you can contain them, if you can stop the run, they're not beating you in the air.
No, that's what I said. The key is to shutting down Jackson. You do that, and where are they going to go?
So especially in a playoff game, it's just different. And I mean, the Chargers have been there and done that. They know. But I think very rarely can you go to a game and know that you just have to outscore somebody. But I think that's what the Chargers can do is they're going to be able to outscore the Ravens no matter what they happen to put up. And I think that's where they win this game.
Well, look at
plus Phillip Rivers has like 9 mouths to feed. He needs those playoff checks.
Exactly. Like the Browns-Ravens game, I mean, the Ravens defense is as highly touted as it was and all that. The Browns had a pretty easy time with it. And the Browns don't have near the offensive weapons that the Chargers do. So I'm looking at that. The Browns figured out a way to shut down Lamar L. Jackson. Not completely, but he didn't just run roughshod over them either. And the Chargers are a clearly better team than the Cleveland Browns. And just the fact that they're on the road, which sounds crazy in the playoffs, that you like the fact that the team is on the road better than if they're at home. But I think that's a big difference here. And I like the Chargers in this one.
And despite the Chargers being a Southern California team going on the road to the East Coast, it doesn't look like weather is going to be a factor. It might be a little colder than they're used to, high of 54, low of 34, games at 1 o'clock. So it'll probably be in the 40s most of the day, but partly cloudy, no weather expected beyond it just being a little chilly.
Yeah,
but,
it doesn't get that cold in Baltimore. It does, but it's generally.
But they're right there on the water, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, they're going to be right about where they are, like in the mid 50s, so that shouldn't be too bad. See, we all like the Chargers then, I guess, huh?
I think so. I think honestly, of the teams in the AFC playoffs, despite the run that Lamar Jackson had, I think the Ravens are the weakest team in the AFC field right now. Either them or Houston, but
yeah, I can't argue with that. Yeah, okay. So, well, congratulations, Baltimore. We all picked you, so you know what that probably means. Okay, who's next?
Let's move on to the National Football Conference, where we've got some interesting ones. I think easily the more interesting games of the weekend are in the NFC. On Saturday, you have the number 4 seed, Dallas Cowboys, your NFC East champions, hosting the Seattle Seahawks. 10-6, they get in as the number 5 wild card. On Sunday, you have the Bears hosting the Eagles, the Super Bowl champs, going on the road to Chicago, and then of course the Rams are the number 2 seed, and the Saints the number 1 seed.
Well, first off, let me throw this in there.
Sure.
5 weeks ago, would any of us have bet even $1 that the NFC East would have 2 teams in the playoffs?
Oh, God, no.
No. Not in a million years.
And to be completely frank, I think that speaks to the absolute horrid nature of the NFC this year. We all thought that the NFC would be the garbage conference. I mean, the AFC would be the garbage conference. No, the NFC's got they got the Rams, they got the Saints, they've got the Bears, and those are very impressive teams. But outside of that, it's not pretty. Honestly, I would say the same about both conferences this year. I don't know if any one is better than the other, just in terms of I think the NFC has got more power. I think the NFC teams could beat the top AFC teams. But after that top 3-4 teams, everybody else is just kind of thrown into the mix as being either mediocre or garbage.
Well, let me ask you guys this. Do you think that there is one team right now in the playoff field that stands head and shoulders above the rest where you go, yep, these guys, I feel comfortable betting they're going to win the whole thing? No, I think every team has flaws, and I think that will make this a pretty great playoffs, right? Honestly. Because for once, yes, the Patriots are in there, but that doesn't mean that they're destined to go to the Super Bowl again. Yes, the Saints have this high-flying offense, and they've been the number 1 seed for a while, but they've shown that they have some holes. Same with the Rams. The Bears are a great defense, surely, but is that enough to take you through the playoffs? I don't know. Well, that's the thing.
The Chiefs in the offense, and all the best teams have something against them.
A question mark somewhere, yeah. And not just a little question mark, but a pretty significant one. Everybody has one.
Sure.
And I think with the Rams, it's consistency. Probably the same thing with the Saints. The Bears defense, nothing to worry about there, but that offense could go off the rails badly and in a hurry, even against a team like the Eagles. So, yeah. Anyway, so which game are we going with first here?
Well, let's go with Seattle and Dallas.
Oh, boy. This is really going to be a good game, I think. But
I think it's going to be a good game, too. And it does have a little bit of, some drama, some history to it. Because you remember these two teams played a pretty memorable playoff game not that long ago. The Tony Romo, field goal snap game. Where the legend of Russell Wilson was born, essentially,
right?
As Tony Romo couldn't field an extra point.
Has a quarterback snap held for a field goal since that game?
I don't know,
because it used to be way back in the old days. The quarterback was always the holder on field goals and stuff. Yeah, and then
at least the backup quarterback always.
Yeah, and then Romo did that, and I haven't seen one since. It's
I know.
Okay, no more of that.
I know that most teams just use the punter now.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, because the punter can work on it all week with the kicker. It seems smart. Now you go, why didn't I think of that a long time ago? But anyway, this should be a good game, I think.
Yeah, no, this is a night game. It's 8:15 Eastern on Fox. Seattle's been hot. Like, simply put, Seattle's been hot.
Yep.
They hit a little hiccup when they lost to the 49ers 2 weeks ago, but they've been, unfortunately, that team that just can't be killed again. They did play the Cowboys once this season, very early though, September, where the Seahawks won 24-13. I believe that was in Seattle. And the Cowboys have, they've been there. I don't even know what to say about the Cowboys because I don't know if they've been impressive, really. They've just been able to rack up the wins. They barely beat the Giants, at the end of the regular season there in Week 17.
I watched that game because that was the only game worth watching in the early games on Sunday. And for two teams with nothing to play for, they put on a hell of a good show. I'll give them that. They were both playing their asses off. I don't know about the wisdom of it. If I'm the Cowboys, you had your starters out there for the whole game. But it was a really fun game to watch. But I don't know what to make of the Cowboys either. I don't have a lot of faith in Dak Prescott. You've got a great running back in Ezekiel Elliott. Amari Cooper, still a pretty high price to pay, a first-round draft pick for the guy, but he's made a difference with that team. And then you got the Seahawks, who, talk about monkey paws, Mike. I mean, it's like they carry around a bag full of them.
I'm going to go with the Cowboys because fuck Seattle.
Yeah, that's good enough for me.
I just don't want to see him win. I don't. I'll take anyone. Go Cowboys.
See, I'm going to go with the Seahawks also because fuck Seattle.
Oh.
Because some way or another, I know that they're going to win the stupid game. And the best part is, the thing that makes me so happy about it is that they could play the damn Rams.
Oh, no.
In the next round. If Philly beats Chicago, then the winner of Dallas-Seattle goes to LA.
Oh, boy.
Or, sorry, yeah, if Philly wins. But hopefully the Rams are just going to play the Bears again, which, despite the way that the Bears manhandled them the first time around, I would much rather play the Bears in the playoffs than I would the Seahawks.
Well, you get the Bears at home, too. When they played them last time, it was on the road. It was cold out. It was nighttime. Yeah.
It's just, I don't want to be on the other end of that Russell Wilson monkey's paw.
No, you don't. It's the most frustrating thing in the world.
Like, it's bad enough in the regular season. I do not want to be there for playoff rabbit foot.
Nothing. Let me tell you, I was on the other end of that shit for an NFC championship game. And I'm surprised I didn't break anything. I was so pissed off. Because it's just, you remember the play, the lollipop that he threw for that fucking two-point conversion, which was just, I don't blame you. I wouldn't want any part of these guys either. Oh my God. Please, somebody beat them. The Cowboys. Yeah, I think the Cowboys, again, this is a game where if it were being played in Seattle, I'd probably take the Seahawks, but at home, I like the Cowboys. Yeah. But it's going to be I think it'll be a close game. I think it's going to be a fun to watch game because it's going to be ugly. A lot of running, a lot of defense and bullshit. But I'll take the Cowboys in a close one.
I agree. I don't think this is going to be a well played game at all.
Yeah,
but I trust me. I want the Cowboys to win this game more than anything else, which is strange because I don't want the Cowboys to really do anything ever. But I would love for the Cowboys to win this. If I'm a Ram, I am a Rams fan. I would love to play Dallas over Seattle any day. I
think everybody feels that way. I don't think Seattle's one of those teams that you don't want any part of because everybody knows the history with these guys, and you can beat them and they'll still find a way to win. It's just, okay, we couldn't think of anything else. We'll give them an interception that they don't deserve. He'll just chuck the ball up in the air and it'll land in the right place. Don't worry.
It'll find its way to somebody's hands.
Fuck them, yeah. Go Cowboys.
Sunday afternoon, you get the Eagles defending their Super Bowl championship still somehow. Here they are, going into Soldier Field to take on the 12-4 NFC North champion Chicago Bears.
I picked the Bears to win the division. By the way, you
did. That was a nice pick by you too. 12-4. I mean, come on, you didn't see 12-4 coming.
I didn't see 12. No, honestly, I thought this division was so bad they'd win it at 8-8. But whatever.
Yeah, the weather in Chicago not going to be that terrible. It'll be cold again. High of 45, low of 37, partly cloudy.
That's not bad.
Not terrible, but still a little chilly. But that's not anything for Philadelphia. They're kind of used to that sort of thing themselves. Yep. The question really comes down to one thing: is the Nick Foles magic used up? Right. I think it goes one of two ways: is the Nick Foles magic used up? And can Mitch Trubisky not screw up?
Here's what I think. It comes down to this. How does Nick Foles react after Khalil Mack shoves his head up his ass one time? Which is going to happen.
Well, the thing against that is when the Eagles played the Rams a couple weeks ago, I think Nick Foles was hit on every single deep throw he made. Like Aaron Donald literally ripping him limb from limb as he's throwing the ball downfield. And the Eagles still were completing these deep passes to nowhere. So I don't know. Really, it's a luck thing almost. I gotta think the Bears defense wins out though.
Yeah,
because once you get to the playoffs, the defense is obviously one of the best in the league. Their running attack is kind of what buoys them. They do just enough to get you through. Whereas the Eagles, you're relying on Nick Foles and that rhythm of the passing attack that I think the Bears can step in front of, can disrupt.
Yeah, right.
I don't think the Eagles are going to be able to run the ball nearly as well.
This Bears defense is too goddamn good to let Nick goddamn Foles beat them.
I gotta agree with
sorry.
you. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can't accept that Nick Foles is really this good, and I don't care. I don't care if he's found a system he's comfortable in. Like Khalil Mack is going to eat him, on the field.
He'll just gnaw his leg off right there on national television. And,
yeah,
and we will just marvel at it. I think so too. Look, if Trubisky, his job basically is don't hurt the team at this point. Make the plays you've got to make, but they can't rely on him. You can't go into it going, okay, Mitch is going to lead us to victory because that's probably not going to happen. But with the defense, Trubisky doing just enough, I think the Bears should win this game easily. And I don't know that who has Foles played so far since he's taken back over for Wentz, because that's a big question too.
I know
the Redskins
beat the Rams.
They beat the Rams.
Ooh,
yeah,
in LA, right?
Yeah, but that was a game that the Rams were coming off that Bears game and just still hadn't found their rhythm again. Yeah, so trust me, it was a great performance by the Eagles, though. No question about that. The Eagles' defense stepped up in that game too, something that I wasn't truly expecting out of them. But they played their ass off.
I just think you can only ride a mediocre quarterback so long, and especially
the Bears have ridden it all season.
Yeah, but they've also got that great defense that helps. What is Philly? I mean, and Philly's not a bad team. But again, I'm looking at it going, it's amazing because 3 weeks ago I'd have never guessed they'd be in the playoffs again this year.
Yeah.
I got to go with the Bears. I just think that there's just too much on that defensive side of the ball for Chicago that Philly is not going to be able to hang with that. Not in Chicago. Neutral site in Philly maybe, but not at home. Yeah. And the Bears in the playoffs for the first time since when?
I would assume since they made the Super Bowl, right?
No.
It's been a couple times.
They made it with Jay Cutler, didn't they? Didn't the Bears play them in an NFC title game at one point with Jay Cutler? Jay Cutler versus Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
I remember that was the birth of like the "Sorry Andy" joke, right? Where like you were wearing all your Packers gear. And because I remember, didn't Aaron?
Yeah, that's right.
Game,
yeah, it wasn't an NFC title game. It was just a playoff game. But yeah, you're right. They did meet. Yeah,
it was a title game. Well, anyway, it was the playoffs, and
2010 was the last time they made the playoffs.
The Bears?
Yeah.
That can't be right because I didn't have my Packers stock yet when I did all that stuff.
Right. That was the one the Packers beat them going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, you know what? Then you're right, Mike. It wasn't an NFC championship, but what we've got
NFC championship game. Green Bay beat them and went on to beat the Steelers in the Super Bowl.
What we've got confused was the picture thing and stuff. I did that for Andy. It wasn't for that game. It was for a different, I think a regular season game.
I'm sorry. I keep getting the multiple times the Packers have kicked the Bears confused.
Well, the Bears got their revenge this year, so good for them.
Yeah.
But see, it's funny because I know that to the Bears, the Packers are just like their arch rivals. And to me, I don't mind the Bears that much. I don't see them as that big a threat. I more dislike the Vikings than I do the Bears. But anyway, I'm going to go with the Bears in this one. I think that they've got enough to take care of Philadelphia at home.
I'd go with the Bears too.
Bears.
The defense is too good.
Yeah.
I don't see how Nick Foles generates enough. But then maybe Mitch Trubisky doesn't generate enough himself, and this is like a 10-7 game.
Or he can go off the rails badly, throw 3 picks, and there you go. I like the Bears, but I'm not 100% comfortable with the pick. I'll say that. Who wants to break the news?
It's just a cool name.
Air
Canada Center is fine, but it's not the Maple Leaf Gardens.
Well, you had back in the day, you had Maple Leaf Gardens, Boston Garden were cool names. Madison Square Garden was cool.
There's the Montreal Forum.
The Forum, right? And now it's a corporate.
What was Chicago's? The Olympia?
I think it was just
that was Detroit. Was the Olympia, right?
Yeah, I think Chicago was just called Chicago Stadium or something like that. But now with corporate naming rights and stuff, you're never going to get that anymore, which is too bad.
This is just a cool shot of Maple Leaf Gardens, with the maple leafs on the roof.
Right. Yeah. That's what I mean. It was just such a cool looking place, and I don't.
Plus, it was really old fashioned. Maple Leaf Gardens up until the very end didn't have fully integrated special booths for the goal judges.
Okay.
Because it used to be that goal judges, the people who light up the lamps
right
after each goal, it used to be that they just sat in the crowd. But then they figured out that home team fans would intimidate them into screwing over the road team. So the NHL instituted laws that said that no, they have to be in their own self-contained booth. And then what happened then was Maple Leaf Gardens kind of did a half-assed kind of jerry-rigged thing, and they never properly set it up.
Yeah, it's a great old place. Too bad. So, who wants to break the news about the Texas Rangers here?
Oh,
and this absurdity.
So, it's the final season of historic Globe Life Park in Arlington.
Also known as what was it called originally? The ballpark at Arlington?
Ballpark at Arlington.
Yeah.
All of, what is it?
This giant brick square in the middle of the Dallas Metroplex.
What was it? Just 25 years old?
1994 to 2019. Yeah.
25 years old. And they get a new stadium.
Yep.
I think this patch should say, "We're sorry," is what it should say. Like, that's what it should say. We're sorry. I don't even get this. This pissed me off from the minute I first heard about it. Why do they need a new park? What's their reasoning for it? I mean, they don't. We know they don't. But what's their reasoning for it?
They just feel that it's outdated and that they want to keep up with the trends. I think part of it was they're trying to make it just a better place to sit and watch a game because it can be unbearable trying to watch games in the summer in Texas.
Then maybe they should have planned for that when they built the thing in 1994.
I was in Texas in 1983, and it was hot then, so I'm guessing it was probably hot in 94 too.
Yeah,
probably should have thought about that.
Based on their previous stadium farewell patch that is on the mothership article here, the previous stadium that they were in, the Arlington Stadium, only lasted 21 years. So.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that was a minor league park that was kind of half-ass upgraded to major league standards, if I remember right. I could be wrong about that, but
I was going to look it up, but yeah.
And it wasn't a great place, but what kills me about this and what drives me the most nuts about it is that when this thing opened, these same Texas Rangers were just screaming from the rooftops of how great it is. It's one of the best new ballparks in all of baseball, blah, 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 blah. And now, 25 short years later, it's not good enough to play in? And it just drives me crazy. It's wrong.
The Arlington Stadium was a minor league stadium, and it actually opened in 65 before the Rangers got there in 72.
Yeah.
So it was pretty old by the time the Rangers had to get out of
and
that.
it wasn't good. It was, back in those days, minor league stadiums weren't what they are now. They were pretty much shitholes.
When the Rangers first moved in, they expanded it to 35,000 seats.
Yeah.
And then by the time it closed, it was expanded up to 43,000 seats.
I mean, if I remember right, it was just like a bowl. It basically looked an awful lot like the.
It looks a lot like from this aerial shot. It looks like the Oakland Coliseum.
Like the Oakland Coliseum, Memorial Stadium in Baltimore looked kind of similar to that. Your basic, functional ballpark. Essentially, there was none of this architecture and stuff that went into it. But this is ridiculous. I'm sorry, but it's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, looking on the list of ballparks of its age, it opened in 94, same year as Progressive Field in Cleveland.
2 years after Camden Yards.
2 years after Camden Yards, a year before Coors Field in Denver. And let's see, 3 years after New Comiskey in Chicago. And despite having a team not having a team until 1998, Tropicana Field opened in 1990. But of all these stadiums that are older than it, like let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's the 11th oldest stadium in the league.
Yeah. But that's more a result of the fact that everybody built new ballparks since. You've had like Florida's got a new park, Washington.
The Braves, who did the same thing, were
the Braves are
25 years after opening Turner Field.
St. Louis has got a new park now. Milwaukee's got a new park now.
Minnesota, new Yankees.
New Yankee Stadium, Mets. Yeah, so that's why it's one of the older ones. But it's absurd. It's the same exact age as Progressive Field. And I can tell you from personal experience, Progressive Field's in perfectly good condition. No reason to get rid of it. And, the heat, I get the heat because it's ungodly hot in Texas. Like, Mike, Texas heat in the summer makes Florida feel like you're living in Antarctica. It's ridiculous.
Oh,
it's so hot. Yeah, it's worse, believe it or not. Way worse. Like you can feel it worse. That's how bad it is. But I'm assuming the new place is going to have a dome or a retractable roof or something?
No.
No?
So what's the point?
What's the point?
The whole point is to make it easier.
Hold on. It is going to have a retractable roof.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you're the Texas Rangers. You're lucky you got this park. You shouldn't be getting two of them.
It's being built right next to the current park.
So that's a real fuck you to everybody that paid for the first one. Nice.
Yeah, they're not done paying for the first one.
No, and at least Atlanta had the decency to move the other park somewhere else, so you wouldn't see how much money was wasted side by side. Come on.
No, they were built right next to each other. Turner Field. Oh,
No.
you mean the newest one?
The newest one,
newest
yeah.
one.
No, the
Yeah,
one the one that replaced County Stadium. Yeah, that was built for the Olympics actually in '96.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I'm talking the new ones, like in a different part of town, so you don't have to sit there and
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah. See,
This new place should be called Good Money After Bad Ballpark.
the Rangers cited weather as the reason attendances at Globe Life Park are lower than in other baseball stadiums.
No, I'd say it's because your baseball team's kind of shit.
Since they're prone to high temperatures and rain delays. Well, again, the weather of Texas hasn't demonstrably changed in the last 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I mean, I guess it's gotten a little hotter, but
I don't know how they would know. I mean, there's only so hot it can be, and it had reached that point. It's like anything hotter, and we're bursting into flames. I don't know. It bothered me from the minute I saw they wanted to do it. I couldn't believe it went through, and now they're insulting us with this patch. What, and didn't you say somebody called it historic, Mike?
Yeah. Someone called it historic. To which, if you'll bear with me, let me pull up the direct quote. So no, the CCSLC news bot called it historic.
Okay.
We have the news bot that regurgitates news stories on the forums. So the blurb mentioned there said it called this park historic.
That word historic comes from our glorious leader Chris Creamer's story on the mothership.
Oh well, I don't want to be one to disparage the word of our Lord and Savior Chris Kramer, but I have to respectfully disagree with His Holiness on this.
I looked it up. In the seasons 94 to 2018 that the Rangers have been in Globe Life Park, they've had only 12 winning seasons, which not a bad record, I guess.
This is about half and half.
24 years, 12 seasons with winning records, 8 playoff appearances in that time, and they've only won 4 playoff series, and those were in back-to-back years when they went to the World Series back-to-back. Other than that, they've lost in the division series 5 times, and they lost the Wildcard game in 2012.
I also want to point out that until they went to back-to-back World Series and ended up losing both of them, the only thing I really remembered the Rangers for was that, A-Rod once won, MVP on a last-place team.
Yes.
You know what I remember the Rangers for most of the time is the team that I forgot when I tried to list all 30 Major League Baseball teams.
No, the Texas Rangers are the epitome of a stuffed team in baseball.
Oh, my God, yes.
They are the stuffiest stuffed team in baseball.
And then, just to make matters worse, they go out and get uniforms with the Texases. It's like, God, guys, get an identity.
Texas.
Yeah.
And now that they're wearing the all red after years of embracing blue, they chose to do it after the Angels had already taken over the all red distinction in their own division.
And not only that, but okay, so here's the quote I wanted to reference. Chris Kramer, blessed be his name, no disrespect meant, called it Arlington's historic Globe Life Park in Arlington. To which I'm going to butcher this guy's screen name, but Crowan.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. He's a pretty good poster. Yeah.
He responds, historic. Bill Clinton was president, Kurt Cobain died, and OJ was arrested the year this place opened. Let's save that adjective for things that predate Zubaz shorts, please.
Right.
I don't know what about it is historic. I mean, it's got a cool design on the outside. It does look unique. And even from the inside, because of its very square nature, and I'm thinking directly of that center field where you have
the apartment complex.
Wall. Yeah, it is unique to look at. I wouldn't call anything about it historic, though.
Oh, it's not historic. It's not
like some architectural marvel that redefines stadiums.
It's not like Camden Yards, which set the standard for how baseball stadiums would be designed for 20 years. It's just a adequately designed baseball stadium that a team that kind of sucks plays in.
Well, for something to be historic, doesn't something kind of have to happen there? Or it has to be iconic in some way, the Statue of Liberty is historic, even though really not much happens there, but it's historic because...
technically the stadium the Astros play in is more historic because at least that had that kitschy, stupid hill in the outfield that, was dumb, but at least you remembered it.
This is like saying that the Walmart this is a historic Walmart because it's been here for 25 years and we're going to move and build a bigger Walmart down the road. Mm-hmm. Well, no, your other Walmart wasn't historic either. It's just different. The whole thing aggravates me to no end because I hate the fact that they got away with this. I hate the fact the Braves got away with it too. But for some reason, the Braves don't bother me nearly as much as the Rangers do with this. Like, the Rangers really piss me off.
I think the Rangers piss me off more because their reasoning is so stupid. Like, I mean, at least for the Braves, I can understand. Like, I don't agree with it, but I understand it in a really cynical sort of way, where it's like, hey, we can really take advantage of luxury box ticket sales if we build a new stadium. Like,
and let's call it for what it is too. They wanted to move it where there were more white people. I mean,
yes, they wanted to move it out of the city and into the suburbs.
Right.
And the other thing with the Braves, I mean, it was still a stadium that was built out of another stadium.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it was weird that that's what they did with the Olympic Stadium in the first place. And having been there was nothing really about Turner Field that sticks out to me.
But was it bad?
That,
was it?
No, it wasn't bad. I think the only thing that was strange is that but this is the way it is in other parks, that the main gate was actually in center field. So it's, I'm used to just walking in, from behind home plate or one of the baselines. So it was kind of odd in that way. But I mean, they also have pretty oppressive humidity in Georgia, at least when I was there.
Yeah, I mean, they do.
The thing that really
still kept an open air for the new one too. So
the thing that really bugs me about this though is that the reasoning is so nonsensical. It's like, oh, the weather's bad, so we need a new stadium. And it's like you guys have said, it was humid, hot, and rainy in Texas 25 years ago. Like they couldn't. It seems like if you wanted to weatherproof your stadium against the weather of Texas in the summer, like, you should have done that in 1994. The biggest problem is, and again, like, I wouldn't even say that the weather is the reason attendance is down. Attendance is down because you're the Texas Rangers. You suck, and you've never done anything of note. The most notable thing you're famous for is getting within one strike of winning the World Series and then losing because Quadruple Jesus hit a home run out of nowhere.
As I was telling Mike, like, the other thing that I was looking up here on this list from Baseball Reference, the Rangers have broken 3 million fans in a season only twice. And it wasn't in either of the years that they went to the World Series. It was the 2 years following the second World Series appearance. And they haven't been back there since because
they're not good. Back. Yeah.
And even in the 2 years that they won the division after that, in 15 and 16, still not close. I mean, really, even before 1996, their first playoff appearance, that was the first playoff appearance in franchise history. Going back to 1961 as the Senators. The Texas Rangers, as you said, are the definition of a stuff franchise. Mm-hmm. They are bad or mediocre at best, and really this run of success they had from 2010 to
2012,
because they finished last place before they won the division those 2 years in a row. Uh-huh. It's an anomaly. Like, the Texas Rangers are a garbage franchise and always have.
They're a bad or mediocre team. They have a generic color scheme, and they have generic uniforms that don't even have their team name on them. Like, no, everything about them is forgettable.
Yeah, and I guess I would assume another reason why they want to make it a better place to play is so that they can get free agents. Because that's one thing that the Rangers struggle with for years, is because who wants to go play in that sweat box for 160 games or whatever?
That I could see, but. And I get it. I mean, like I said, I've been to Texas in the summer. I know it's ungodly miserable hot there, and I wouldn't want to go to a baseball game every night either. But if they think that putting a retractable roof on that place is going to get them over 3 million fans a year, they can forget it. First off, you're playing in a market that's all about the Dallas Cowboys. That's it. The Rangers, hell, I bet you half the people that live there don't even know they exist. But it's just, I don't know. You should have thought of this. It's not like there weren't retractable roofs in 94, because there were. Toronto had one. I don't. There were a lot of them, but it wasn't technology that wasn't available.
Sky Dome.
Yeah. The Sky Dome had a retractable roof. It wasn't like foreign technology, so they could have done it back then.
Unlike the one in Montreal, the Sky Dome roof actually worked.
I know, it was open the time I was there. It was really cool. Yeah.
Oh, actually, it's a beautiful park to watch a game in when the roof's open.
I'll tell you, it really is. I mean, people think of it as like it's AstroTurf and.
They got rid of the AstroTurf. They've got real grass now.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
When I was there, they still had the turf, but everybody thinks of it as like this, just like a really nice Sam's Club type stadium, and it's not. It's a really cool place to go see a baseball game. It really is.
It is. But yeah, that was part of the Argos moving into BMO Stadium. BMO Field was that the Jays, now that they didn't have to share it with a football team, they were going full grass, so they've got real grass in there now. Yeah,
but when that roof was open, it was a beautiful sunny day in Toronto. You couldn't beat it, man. It looked awesome. It was great.
Yeah,
really cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
To mention something you said earlier about just Dallas and the Rangers. Honest to God, until I went to Dallas in 2009, 2010, I literally had no idea where in Texas the Rangers played.
Somewhere in Texas.
I had no idea that
they play in Texas.
In
Dallas,
right
on their uniform.
Right. It's one of those Golden State things where it's like, sure, they play anywhere, but
I just imagine just some random baseball stadium in the middle of a Texas desert. Here they are.
It has to be in Texas because it's all over their uniform.
And I did find a list of notable events that have happened in Arlington ballpark.
Okay.
So here you go. Kenny Rogers threw a perfect game in 1994.
That he did, yes.
They hosted the 1995 All-Star Game.
Okay. I don't remember that, but sure.
They hosted the first regular season interleague game in 1997.
Okay, that's kind of cool, I guess.
The Rangers won their first playoff game in 2010. They won their first AL pennant in 2010. They hosted games 3, 4, and 5 of the 2010 World Series and games 3, 4, and 5 of the 2011 World Series.
And then in game 6 of the 2011 World Series collapsed like no one's ever seen before.
Yes.
Triple Jesus just came out and hit that home run, and it was all over.
Yeah.
They hosted the 2002 and 2004 Big 12 baseball tournaments.
Okay. I'm sure that put hundreds of fans in the seats.
Disney's The Rookie was shot there.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Movie sucked.
And
it wasn't the greatest.
And in 2014, it became the venue for the Dallas-Fort Worth MDA Muscle Walk. So,
well, there you go. That's history there, folks. The Muscle Walk. Come on now.
And historic stadium.
Okay. Yeah. I think that if the taxpayers are paying for this, you got screwed. It's as simple as that. And that patch should say, we are sorry for screwing you. But here's your new park. Before we go, I do want to say, and I'm sure you guys join me in my excitement, I could not be happier about the fact that Alabama's playing Clemson for the 4th year in a row. That is, to me, is just the greatest thing ever. I'm not even going to get into the whole how do we fix it, because here's how you fix it. You wait until they're not as good anymore. Simple as that. That's all you can do.
Look, thanks for showing up, Notre Dame. You really proved that you deserve that spot.
See, I made the case for UCF, and UCF lost to LSU, but they hung around for a while. I think they could have easily done that against Clemson, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's like my uncle keeps saying to me, it's like, I'm tired of Alabama. Why isn't someone beat them? And I'm like, well, they're trying.
That easy.
You know? I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I just don't know what you do about it. I mean, it's kind of like with New England. What do? You just wait until they're not good anymore.
Look, your best shot, my Auburn Tigers, and you just hope that one year is the year they get the puncher's chance and knock them out in the Iron Bowl, and that just fucks up their playoff aspirations.
They can be beat in the playoffs. Ohio State's proven it. Clemson's proven it. It can be done. They can be beat in the regular season. Auburn's done it. Texas A&M did it. So you want to stop Alabama, find a way to beat them. Until then, I don't know what else you can do. Same with Clemson. I'm just surprised Clemson's been this good without Clemsoning at all at this point. That's amazing. 4 years in a row.
For all we know, this could be this game could be the ultimate Clemsoning. Like it was all leading up to like the perfect.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. 4 years in a row, they're in the championship game, and they haven't Clemsoned once in this whole time.
Yeah,
that's pretty amazing for them.
I get that they're the two best teams, and they've proven that wholeheartedly. You know, whether it's this year or the last 4 years, just yes, the burden lies on the rest of college football to be better, but that doesn't mean that I have to like it.
No,
like it's boring.
It really. I mean, I was going to ask. I'm guessing Mike probably won't pay any attention to it. Are you going to watch it, Zach?
I mean, I probably will, just because I think we might be recording the show during that. Unless we change it to a Tuesday or something.
I'm fine with recording it during that game if you guys are.
It's just I'm pretty sure this is the least amount of college football we've talked. In any of the seasons that we've been doing the show.
Yeah, way less. But
it's just been such
there's nothing to talk about.
It's just Alabama and Clemson win, and
like
the most interesting.
The most we had to talk about was when the playoff selections were made, and then we talked about making the playoff better again. But now that we've played the games, it's kind of like even if we made it an 8-team field, our perfect 8-team field that we've discussed time and time over, we might have had some more entertaining games throughout it, sure, but
end result would have been the same.
Yeah, I don't see any avenue that even if we added in the top 8 teams or the conference champions and our wild cards and whatever, that we wouldn't get Alabama, Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, for the people that are using expanding the playoff as a way to stop Alabama and Clemson, that's just stupid. That's not what's going to do it. Adding more teams for them to beat isn't going to be.
You would give them one extra opportunity to possibly lose,
right? But
and maybe playing those games back to back would give them an opportunity to wear down, or you catch them on a bad week, another team schemes something over time. Because as I think somebody else made a point that the problem, if we keep the setup as it is, this is never going to change. Because one, we've had so many blowouts in these playoff games too.
Yeah,
the championship games have been relatively okay, but the semifinals have had a lot of blowouts.
Yep.
Because there's a month between the end of the season and now.
Yeah.
So all these teams are doing are preparing, and if you're the better team and you're better prepared, you're going to blow out any team you play.
Yeah, and I think too, it's a confluence of events here. You've got, I don't know how Clemson has done this, sustained excellence for 5 years now, but they have. And we're witnessing what I think is, the greatest college football coach of all time. So, yeah, he's going to be tough to beat. And just deal with it, I guess. I don't like it any more than anybody else does.
I would say the most fun I had talking about college football this year was Jim Harbaugh's continued failings.
Oh, and he did it again in the bowl game. Did you see that when they got absolutely railroaded by Florida? Jesus. It was like, I think they're up 7-3, and I'm going, maybe Michigan's going to. No, I mean, I think the final score was 41-13. And the Michigan fans, oh my God, on Twitter, it was just so much fun to watch. They were just losing their shit. That was great. And, I think that everybody made the pretty much the only point that needs to be made is he's got to figure out a way to be more modern. Simple as that. And he's not. Yeah. Speaking
of college football fans on Twitter, I hope Georgia fans shut up a little bit. They're like, hey, well, you see, Oklahoma's getting beaten, Notre Dame. We should have been in the playoff. You lost to Texas.
No,
shut up.
You shouldn't have been there. No.
If you wanted to be there, maybe don't blow your lead against Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Ohio State fans saying the same thing. I will contend that I think Ohio State would have been more competitive maybe than Notre Dame was, but I don't think they would have beaten Clemson or Alabama. I think Notre Dame's a better football team or Ohio State's better than Notre Dame. Not because Ohio State got screwed. It's just like if you're just looking for competitiveness, yeah, the Buckeyes probably match up better against those two teams than Notre Dame does. Simple as that. But it wouldn't have mattered. Didn't matter. Although I was happy to win the Rose Bowl yesterday. That was fun. Not a bad consolation prize. And
that's
God,
fine.
What a great facility that is. Man, oh man, oh man.
Yeah. The thing I didn't enjoy about Ohio State winning the Rose Bowl is more
Urban Meyer?
canonization of Urban Meyer.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. I didn't care for it.
Like, Tom Rinaldi goes up to him after the game, and they're friends because they've worked together. It's just, wow, Urban, how does it feel to close it out on a game like this? And it's like, nobody cares.
Nobody
wants to know.
I can link you guys to it right now. There was a great article on ESPN about that very thing today with Urban Meyer. And it says why it's hard to fully celebrate Urban Meyer's final win. And it pretty much sums it up perfectly. And that's how I feel. It's like he was a great coach, but he really fell short in a lot of the life stuff areas. And, that's just the way it goes. But anyway, if we got nothing else, we should probably wrap it up and, I don't know, do something else, I suppose. So, hey, what can I say? I crashed on the landing there. I was trying to take us out gracefully, and I didn't. Anyway, until next time, you can follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports, where I've been trying to tweet a little more often. You can also subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and the YouTubes, and you can find us on Facebook. We will see you next week to see how we fared in our NFL predictions and all that other good stuff. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Later.